morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of On the Clock with Personal Living Alert. Today, I'm going to speak with my good friend, Ankur Kapoor. Ankur owns Interim Healthcare, and we're going to speak to him about what's going on in the world as he knows it. But before we get started, I just want to welcome him. Good morning, Ankur. How are you today?
Good morning, David, and thank you for having me on the show.
Not a problem. Ankur, I like to always start these things with getting to know the person and their background and what motivated them to join the senior market. What about you? What's your story?
That's a loaded question, David. My background is fairly wide. I have a bachelor's in computer engineering from UT El Paso. I have a master's in telecommunications from Southern Methodist University in Dallas. And then I have an MBA from UT Austin in finance. I've worked in various industries, and my history is kind of interesting. I was working in countrywide financials before the Lehman Brothers crisis hit and Bank of America bought them out. And I was on the team to integrate the two banks together. During that time in 2008, in mid-2008, my dad called me and said, Mom has cancer, and Mom and Dad live in India. Mom said that she did not want to go through chemotherapy. She was 59 years old at that time. She says, I'm done. I don't want to go through the pain of chemo, don't want to lose my hair, don't want to go through all the health issues. So I've seen my grandkid, both my kids are married. I'm kind of done with all my responsibilities in the world. So I don't want to go through it. That's when I decided to go and visit her, took a month off from work. And it turned out that she was being very stubborn. So I called up my boss in Bank of America and said, I resigned. I resigned over the phone. And I decided to relocate to India with my wife and my kid. And we were there for 5 years. For 6 months, while she was going through chemo, I was with her by her bedside, and I was the main caregiver to her. And that's how my passion for this industry came about. 6 months later, when the chemotherapy was done, Mom was still fighting it in her body, but she was healthy, is when I started working in India. I had no job and no house there, actually. I was living with my parents for the first 6 months. I was not working. 6 months later, I found a job in an airline. I was working in the airline industry. And then when we decided to come back to the US, I decided to start Interim. Interim is actually a franchise. It's the largest franchise chain in the country. It's the oldest one as well. They invented home healthcare in 1966. The corporate headquarters is in Sunrise, Florida. So it's right in our backyard. And I visited them a few times prior to making the decision. But this is what was my calling, and this is what I enjoy doing. And here I am.
I like your story, and I've done a lot of these. And I always find not only doing these episodes and these shows, but just being out and about, I find that most of the people who are in the senior market have a similar story, meaning it's a family member or a friend or a kid or something like that they didn't start out to be in the healthcare arena, a lot of them, but something drew them in, some kind of a personal touch, for lack of a better way to say it.
Absolutely. And we run into a lot of people who have that. So I've lived and seen this very closely. And that's kind of what we model in Interim as well. We don't want to grow very big. We want to stay small, but help out the families that we serve, just like we would help out our own parents. And that's our model. So I don't want to grow very big, but I want to stay reasonably small. It's a family-run business between me and my wife. Stay reasonably small, but be the bonus children of the families that we serve.
Yeah, there you go. So COVID-19 is impacting everybody out there right now. I know things are getting eased up in other parts of the United States, but here in Broward County is still pretty tough. So how is COVID-19 impacting your business?
COVID-19 is actually a double-edged sword for my business. And it's hurt us, but I think in the long run, it's going to benefit us. And here's my logic, and here's how I'm thinking about this. So it's hurt us because in the short run, a lot of the families that we serve have either moved in with their children, and the children are either working from home or the children have been laid off. So the seniors that we serve are not requesting our services because the kids are taking care of them now, and they don't want to spend the money when the kids are not making money. and they don't want to take the risk of getting an aid from the outside to help them out. But in some cases where we've been providing 24/7 care, what we've done is the same aide has been living in the house for the last 7 weeks. So the aide's not going home, the aides are not changing, they're staying in their house for the last 7 weeks. The seniors are happy because they're taken care of. The aides are happy because it's job security for them and they're staying there. Instacart is delivering their groceries. Amazon Pillbox is delivering the medicines. So life is normal. These seniors are not meeting anybody and they're staying very, very healthy at home. And they're not going out, they're not meeting anyone, and they've stayed healthy so far.
Fantastic.
So that's on the current business side. But the future, I'm thinking is going to get a lot better for us for two simple reasons. One is a lot of the weaker players who were in the market are probably going to fizzle out because these times have been tough. A lot of people have lost about 50% of their business. And we have lost 50% of our clients as well. But we can still sustain. A lot of people will not be able to sustain through this time. Secondly, we are actually seeing, it's happened to two of our clients. We're actually seeing a lot of people will decide to move out of facilities and move back home because of all the problems that have happened in facilities. And just, I think yesterday we were just reading the news and it said a facility in Milton Manors had 15 casualties because of COVID-19. This is just yesterday's news.
Oh,
so
wow.
A lot of the casualties are happening in facilities. So people will be scared of moving into facilities. So they'll be staying at home. If they stay at home, it's beneficial for our business.
Yeah. I understand exactly what you're saying. Now you have a whole bunch of caregivers. Are they nervous, concerned, worried about going into a patient with COVID-19? Are you taking precautions? What's going on?
So we've actually gone into facility. We've had a client who was actually COVID positive and he was in one of those facilities that have been reported in the news. We had two clients there actually. And we had 6 or 7 caregivers go into that facility over a period of 2 weeks during the peak of the COVID-19 crisis about 4 or 5 weeks ago. All our caregivers who've gone into facilities, the first precaution we take is they don't go into anyone else's homes. That's the only place they go and work, and that's it. Second thing, they all have gloves, masks, sanitizers. So all proper PPE, we're taking all precautions. But once we found out that our client was COVID positive, we actually tested all our caregivers as well. And thankfully, everyone turned out to be negative. So we're kind of suspecting that the client was also probably a false positive because his wife tested negative. The 7 caregivers who've gone to the house have tested negative. And the person who tested supposedly positive also had no symptoms, nothing. And just to prove to our caregivers that this house is clean, my wife, who actually worked with me in the business, also went to meet the client and just to show them, we're not throwing our caregivers into a house which is COVID positive and we're going to stay comfortable at home. We have to lead by example. And that's the model we follow in our business. So she actually went there a few times herself to provide gloves and masks and things like that to the caregivers. So,
are you running into any trouble getting enough PPE for your staff?
So, in a way, yes, we are. But there's been a few, I guess, blessings that have come along the way. So one of them is an organization called the Masketeers, and it's a non-profit. I think it's just a group of people, not even an organization actually. These people call themselves Masketeers, and they're doing their social responsibility by making masks and handing them out to healthcare workers.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're not charging for this either. So,
really?
So it's a good group of people. So we've got some masks from them. Also, earlier in March, my mom had actually passed away. The one that we were talking about at the beginning, mom passed away in March, and I was in India. And I realized that there's going to be trouble acquiring gloves and masks in the US. So when I was coming back, I actually picked up a whole bunch of masks and gloves from there, and I brought them here with me.
Oh, that's fantastic. You and I have spoken about you being in India. I know when you were with your mom, you were there for, I think, 6 weeks, a long time, because it was hard to get back. How is India combating COVID-19 differently than, say, the US is?
So interesting because I've been in lockdown in India and I've been in lockdown in the US. Um, India is a complete state of curfew as we speak. Now, is that the right thing to do? It probably is the right thing to do for that country, knowing the population density in that country, knowing the personal hygiene levels of that country. It's better to have a complete lockdown. If you go out, the police will come after you with a stick. And there are actually videos floating around that they've actually taken people out of the cars and from scooters and bikes and beaten them down and beaten them. So you're not allowed to step out, period. When I
Wow.
landed here, this is hardly a lockdown, actually, if you think about it. I mean, when I came here, I was in a state of shock because I was thinking the lockdown here is like India. So I was on a US government organized evacuation flight from Delhi to San Francisco because India completely shut down its airspace, I think the 23rd or 24th of March. And it's still shut down. So no flights in and out of the country and no flights flying within the country, period. Nothing, zero. So I come here to San Francisco and then I take a flight from San Francisco to Fort Lauderdale on JetBlue. While I was driving from the Fort Lauderdale airport to my house, which is about 30 minutes away in Parkland, the amount of cars I saw in that 30-minute period was probably 20 times more than what I saw in 6 weeks out in India.
Wow. Amazing.
And my drive from when I enter my community, it's a gated community. So when I enter from the gate to my house, it's a 4-minute drive. The amount of people I saw walking on the streets, just normal evening walks and exercise walks and cycling and stuff like that. The amount of people I saw in that 4 minutes was more than what I saw in 6 weeks out in India. Nobody's on the roads over there. Nobody.
I I don't know. I think at the very beginning, my personal take on it is not enough people gave it the seriousness in here in the States that it needed. And I think that's probably why you saw so many people out and about. They just thought it was a flu and it was going to come and go or something like that, not nearly as serious as it is.
Right. Um, but I'm not saying what the US did was actually bad. I think saving the economy, and the economy is hurting for sure, but it's probably not hurting as bad as
Right.
it is in India. Because when you completely shut down everything, I mean, everything is shut down except the grocery stores, everything is shut down over there. So it's a very tough situation. And also the poverty levels in that country is very, very high and there's no government support. So here at least people got a stimulus check and they got payroll protection program and things like that. But there's nothing. So I think when the economy opens up there's going to be a lot of other casualties, not because of COVID, but because of other reasons, because people don't
Well,
have money to eat.
yeah, I think there's going to be a ripple effect here in the States too, but maybe not as great as in India.
Right.
So let me ask you, how are you staying sane through all of this?
So for us, I mean, uh, it's business as usual for us because we're still working. We still go meet clients. We still go see our clients. So for us, except working in the office, we're working from home. It's basically business as usual. So there is really nothing extraordinary that we are doing, uh, except that the busy work has increased because now the children of the families that we serve are calling us and asking updates on a every 3 or 4 hour basis versus every 1 or 2 day basis. So that part has actually increased. So serving the clients part has increased. The kids are at home, so that's a little bit of a challenge. You see 2 kids screaming all the time. So we've set up 4 different studies in the house. So all 4 of us have four different laptops, and we have our 4 different Zoom calls going on at the same time. But besides that, I mean, life is normal for us. We still, we go to the backyard, we take walks. We're generally not out and about in the community for leisure reasons. We are out and about for business reasons. But the children haven't seen the light they haven't gone out of the house in about 60 days now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Fabian and I talk about it all the time, and I know it's opening up and it's slowly opening up down here. Uh, I don't know if we're going to a restaurant or a movie theater or any of that, a sporting event, anything soon. I think we're just gonna, you know, I think the 7 weeks, I mean, has brought us closer, and we totally enjoy just staying in. And I got a feeling we're going to do that for, the 6, 8, 10 months.
I absolutely agree with you, David. I mean, unless it's an absolute necessary thing to do, to go to a restaurant and eat, or to fly somewhere, or to live in a hotel, or go to sporting events, unless it's absolutely a must, I would stay away from it myself for at least the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, I agree. Encore, you've been doing this for a little while, and you're an expert in not only just home health, but your wealth of information, in COVID and things like that. So if anybody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
So a couple of ways. They can visit us on our website at interimhealthcare.com. That's Interim healthcare, all one word, .com. And you can find me there. My phone number is 754-702-7030. Or you can email me at akapoor, which is my first initial, A like alpha, then K like kilo, A like alpha, P like papa, O like Oscar, R like Romeo, at interimhealthcare.com. Again, all one word.
I appreciate that, because I'm sure people can have lots of questions, about
I'll be
what.
glad to answer them. Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I just want to say thank you very much for being on. I think you're providing a lot of information. I know your services are definitely needed, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for having me, David. I appreciate the opportunity.
All right, stay safe, my friend.
You too.